Good morning. Rod Baker, God in Rod. And this morning, I want to talk about something that somebody said to me the other day. Um, we were driving down the road together, and they were driving, and something popped out of on the road or something like that, and that person said, "I scared myself." Now think about that. Give that some thought. I scared myself. And what she had done is she had imagined 100 different scenarios except for the one that happened, and each one of them made her afraid. How many times in your life have you scared yourself where you imagined scenarios happening that did not take place? And it wasn't because you were afraid of them or that you had drummed them up. What the reason that they didn't take place is because that was never the intention of what was to happen. See, the perfect love casteth out fear. Can we agree on that? That love seems to have a way of casting out fear, ridding us of it. Because when you're in perfect love, you're patient, you're kind, you're not jealous, and you're not acting unbecomingly, you're not, haughty or proud, or seeking your own way. You're letting these things play out. You're letting these things happen, but you will not be in fear because number one, you love God. Number two, you love yourself. Number three, you love your neighbor. You love another. What is there to fear? Truly, what is there to fear? What's the one thing that could happen that would cause you to be afraid? Is it death? Is it the death of this life, this body? Because that's inevitable. I'm going to break the news to you. You're going to lay this body down. You are going to pass on. You are going to go to a different place. I remember in Alcoholics Anonymous, people would talk about the two things that we were afraid of was not getting what we wanted and losing what we have. Not getting what we want and losing what we have. Those are the two things that we were afraid of. So instead of being fearful of losing what I have, I was grateful. And instead of being afraid of not getting what I wanted, I always end up with better. I always end up with better. I don't limit myself with that. I'm fixing to go to Spain. I'm going on a pilgrimage. I'm going to walk from France through Spain to the St. James Cathedral in Santiago, Spain. And then I'd like to spend a little time in Portugal, but we'll see. And so I'm training for that because I need to walk about 5 miles a day in this pilgrimage. And so I'm training for that. I'm preparing for that. Now, anything could happen. A multitude of things could happen. But I do not fear what could happen. Instead, I think about what must be done. What must be done? My goal is to reach the cathedral in Santiago, to start in France and go all the way to the cathedral. Whatever happens in between that time is whatever God wills, inshallah. Whatever God wills. Now, living in that kind of faith takes practice, takes training. See, it starts with steps. With believing. And if you're living a life based on fear, you're not going to walk in that kind of belief, that kind of faith, where you know you're loved by God, where no weapon formed against you shall ever prosper. They may wound you. They may knock you off course a little bit. But see, those things strengthen you. Those things realign you, readjust you. That's the beautiful thing about repentance, is you get straightened. See, if people did to you what you did to them, wouldn't you want them to come and make amends? To set that straight, that crooked line straight? Even if you never had any other interaction in a relationship, wouldn't you want them to make an amends? If nothing else, if you're unselfish about it, so that their life becomes better. And yet you find yourself unable, incapable. You're too worried about what others would think. You worry about what you think of yourself, and yet here you are, beating yourself up at every turn. Well, there's no balance there. There's no balance in that. See, I always thought constructive criticism was an oxymoron. They mean two different things. It's an oxymoron. It's tugging against itself. Constructive criticism? No, there is no such thing. There's encouragement, inspiration, critique, and then there's criticism. When was the last time you scared yourself? Just in your own thoughts. And you scared yourself. My, what a shame. You should be ashamed for scaring yourself. Because that's a pretty good indication that you don't love yourself. Because perfect love casteth out fear. I've not been given a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. Do you have a sound mind? Do you have a reprobate mind? Do you scare yourself? Do you think of what could happen, or do you think about what must be done? I'm going to Spain. I'm going to go walk the Camino de Santiago. It was a dream of mine a few years ago, a couple years ago, when my sponsor did it. He came back and told me about it. One of the first things he said is, you've got to do this. That's a beautiful suggestion. And I began to pray for it at that moment. And God made way. It's what must be done. Good day.